panelists as well as everybody in the audience. It's my privilege to be here and to speak with you. The Poddar Foundation is basically focused around mental health awareness, and we work a lot with schools and universities as well as corporates. There is a lot of talk about innovation, and I see this firsthand because of my interaction with the youth of India as well as with the people leading the youth of India. The gaps are immense, and technology, although is a great tool, it's causing a lot more mental illness than we've actually bargained for. Every student understands emoticons, but they don't understand emotions. And you cannot divide the human from the human being. And it's unfortunate that that is happening. And we see this every day with the kind of challenges and the suicide rates rising, with the kind of depression that every student has, anxiety, fear, stress. We're talking about those things already here, and it is a complete reality. In fact, I don't think we're talking about the intensity with which that is moving forward. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the technology is growing at a fast pace, but we're not able to grow our kids, our teachers, etc., at a fast rate. I was building the curriculum on WPU, which is a university in Pune, which is the World Peace University. We built the entire curriculum of peace and harmony and daily living, and it is a 150-hour program that's adopted by them. And it took me a long time to teach the teachers how to teach this program, because like we're talking about here, the program is really meant for coaches to be teaching the kids. It's not meant for a teacher to come in and give them solicited advice on how to break down the curriculum, but it actually goes back to the guru style of teaching which you had mentioned about, which is really understanding the core essence of every individual, where they start to understand themselves, they start to understand what they need in their learning and how to move that forward. This was more difficult, and I used to tell the teachers, cast off your robe of teaching and get into the Gurukul system, because that's what our students need nowadays. There is so much. The kids used to come up to me, the students, and they used to say that, you teach it in the way that it's supposed to be taught, but we're not getting what this is when it is being plastered there as spirituality and peace. Because what happens is that if we, as the people that are imparting this information, want to hold on to our knowledge, and the knowledge that we had, it's already outdated. So the program was built really to ensure that there was a lot of research done, and all our ancient texts were brought back into the moral and values of today based on contemporary day thinking and how it applies. With the Poddar Foundation, every day we go to schools. We've got a tie-up with BMC, we've got a tie-up with even the Maharashtra State Commission for Women, and we talk to people, we talk to self-help groups, we teach a 4-day program of mental health awareness, just because with the onset of technology, the handheld is in the hand is not in the hand anymore. The laptop is on the lap, the child is not on the lap anymore. It's a very disturbing situation for someone who comes from this space. Again, we go to corporates, and we're doing a lot of training and development there, and the HR is consistently telling us we have the people with the certificates, but they don't know how to think. I don't know how we're teaching our students how to think, because it is not visible even now. So my kids, in fact, I think one of my, I moved from Canada, so when I came here, and we had kids, and I have 3 of them, and my husband said, I'm going to put them in Cathedral School, which is by far a very good school here. And I was dead against it. I said, there's no chance I'm putting my children in that school. And it wasn't because it was a bad school. It was because they don't teach you how to think. In fact, I kept fighting this system, like why? I don't want my children to be good at studies. I want them to think about education in a way that it enhances their mode of thought, their processes, because everything they learn today is anyway outdated tomorrow. So it's all about how do you train the human brain to be open enough and to be ego-less enough, which is why spirituality comes into the play, to be open enough to absorb new information, to together in group dynamic systems, and then move that forward. Group dynamics, again, is not taken seriously. When I go to schools, I see people talking to each other about things, and the teacher tells them to be quiet. And that is actually going against what we're trying to do. They should be working together in groups. They should be conversing with each other. They should be given independent assignments only, because that is how they will come up with a solution-based, focused education system. I think we were talking about AI, VR, and now there's augmented reality. In fact, a friend of mine owns this company in London called Framestore, and they're building a lot of, I mean, they build Gravity and all these movies as well, but they're building a lot of augmented reality-based education. So you are in a bus, your windows are basically the augmented reality tools. You are driving along a road, but you're on Mars, you're on the moon, and you get to interact with that location. So all these things obviously are very exciting, and we haven't bought them down into, I mean, the cost is really high, so obviously India hasn't implemented all this, but it's there on the horizon. It's there for the interaction. One of the things that I think, Mark, you mentioned, which I think is very important, is the responsibility. Because when I talk to students again, and I'm talking about, listen, have you understood who you are? A basic analysis is that they have 7 personalities. So you're not dealing with a child with one personality anymore. You're dealing with the child who you see as a representation towards the teacher. You are dealing with a child who is different with his parents. You're dealing with a child that has a totally different avatar on Pinterest, on Instagram, a different avatar on Facebook, and they believe in these avatars. So we were talking about the mind and the phone being a secondary mind. Do we even understand how many bodies, human bodies, we're dealing with in one child? We don't understand that. And it's a huge problem, because we need to integrate that child, for that child to understand who he is. Because the child goes from the system that we're in into a system of his home, where he cannot, but that knowledge is not transferred, because they don't come from that background. We don't have as much knowledge as the youth have in terms of technology. So the integration has to be quite seamless. I think the 21st century student really only needs gurus, and we had that before. So I think it's easy for India to get back to that. I think the other thing I wanted to mention was I work with several companies as an advisor, and they're doing a lot of work with technology, utilizing the benefits of technology, as in granny clouds, being able to have cross-country dialogues with people, being able to expose people who were in villages to a community that is now more urban, and really bridging those gaps. So technology is a great tool for bridging gaps, but I think we shouldn't leave behind the youth. We shouldn't leave behind the soul. We shouldn't leave behind the person. And I want to end with that, because the time is short and I don't want to take too much of your time. Thank you very much.